What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Everything in my life is so expensive, and I'm tired of it. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Dylan coming at you. Christian will join me later on in the show as we have a new segment season that we'll get into once we finish breaking down 2 more episodes of Season 2 of Ted Lasso. Obviously, the finale premiered earlier this week. We're catching up. We're slowly but surely catching up to the people. Hopefully by next week we'll have all of Season 2 in the books and we'll be on to Season 3. But we got 2 episodes of Season 2 to break down. We'll get into the new segment, and we will get into the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes, everybody's favorite segment. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow Christian on Twitter at TheWiz_PHI. And follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you decide to get your podcast from. We're there. Leave a 5-star rating and review, because, Dylan, it's time for you to say the line.
The line is in those reviews and in those comments. If you're using YouTube and watching us live, your beautiful faces, you're going to be leaving reviews, comments, etc. on what Kyle, Christian, and I, which can't wait till we're all together on an episode, by the way. I was just thinking that before we hopped on. I know schedules are crazy for us. But anyway, you're going to let us know what to watch. I will preface, Kyle and I are having Max difficulties. So if
I did Twitter search that today, actually. And apparently a lot of people have been having that issue. So it's like they're slowly but surely fixing it, apparently.
Mine is working now, to go on a side note, but we don't know the password, so we have to get it like reset because it's a whole thing. I didn't make it; my mom or dad made it, and of course, if you have parents, you know the struggle of password.
That is password rule number 1. Never let them make the password.
Yes. I done goofed, but with that being said, no more done goofing. Let us know what you want us to review, whether it's a movie or a TV show. Please.
Yeah, hopefully next week we'll be back on the White House Plumbers grind with Max being back up. But apparently we weren't the only people who had an issue. So
I actually just started watching a new show. I'm blown behind. I just started watching. Oh, I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's on Hulu with Andrew Garfield, and he's a Mormon detective. It's like Under the Banner of Heaven or something like that. Wild.
Wild it up right now to see what we're working with. Yeah, Under the Banner of Heaven.
Wild. But if you've watched, so my point is, we're no strangers to trying a show that's been out for a couple of years now.
Which we're probably going to have to do for the foreseeable future with the writer strike still going on. Pay the goddamn writers.
Writer strike, and also there really isn't that many things slated to release in the upcoming,
Except, Dylan, we are 20 days away from Secret Invasion, man.
Hey, I love that we do that every time we talk about
it. So yes, leave a 5-star review on Apple, leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this podcast and every podcast on our network. You get clips, shorts, live streams, the whole 9 yards, all on our YouTube channel. We are currently at 509 subscribers. We're We're trying to get to 600 by the end of June. So we need 91 more of you to go subscribe before the end of the month. Go subscribe, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. And before we get into everything, part of today's episode is brought to you by our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. Dylan and I went and saw The Machine on Sunday.
You told me about it. Kyle did preface. He was like, go see this on release, essentially. And he's a man.
It was phenomenal. We will tap into that later on in the show, but I wore my Streamer Season hoodie, as I tend to do to every movie now. PHI Apparel Company provides unique designs and high-quality clothing for the great fans of Philly and our podcast and podcast network. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to the movie theater, hanging out with your significant other, Netflix and chilling, whether you're having a family movie night, whatever it may be, you're going to look great in your Streamer Season merch. And people are going to ask, where the heck did you get that shirt? Where'd you get that hoodie? It's all from PHI Apparel Company.
And you're going to say go there and buy your merch.
It is the most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing, and you guys can use our code UNDERGROUND at checkout. That's code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any apparel when you shop online at phiapparel.co. That's phiapparel.co. Code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all merch orders, and everything's all fixed, so everything should be free shipping now as well.
I love that.
Dylan, let's get into it. Episode 6 and 7, little breakdown, rundown on our Ted Lasso binge through, as we are on binge mode. Shout out to the Ringer. Episode 6 of Season 2, titled The Signal. This one was written by Brett Goldstein, our guy. I feel like he is slowly but surely becoming somebody that we are adding to the white whale list of guests on this podcast.
Definitely agree. I just feel like with how well the show has been received and how amazing his character is, and then also on how well he writes, and he's also Marvel canon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I fully support him being one of our white whales or our elephants on the show.
So this episode, The Signal, Rebecca is visited by her mother, who recently left her father. Very funny scene where she's hooking up with homeboy Luca, and then she's like, put some clothes on. The cleaning lady's going to be here soon. Then it's just her mom.
Yeah, that's awkward, as they say.
Awkward turtle. Let's bring that back from 2010.
I forgot about Awkward Turtle.
Rebecca tells Ted that her parents repeatedly separate and reconcile every few years. Beard and Jane get back together. Higgins is advised by Ted and Roy not to voice his apprehensions. And Richmond enjoys newfound success with Roy on the coaching staff. It's the Roy Kent effect, Dylan.
Roy Kent. Can't say the one song.
Roy Kent.
Yeah.
He's here. He's there.
He's everywhere.
Every fucking where. Roy Kent. Jamie's upset that Roy refuses to give him coaching advice, and Roy eventually relents and tells Jamie he needs to occasionally play more aggressively, telling him the coaches will provide him a signal for when to do so. And Dylan, that signal?
The best.
It was incredible. Sorry for that colorful sign language.
Isn't it crazy how there's different characters, and you're still watching, so you can attest to it because you're learning each episode. For example, Jamie, you probably thought he was funny from the get-go, but an asshole and annoying. But he's a character that's kind of doing a heel turn. I felt myself as well start to like Jamie more and more as the season progresses. But it's probably safe to assume that for you too. And vice versa, Nate, a fan favorite or a good comfort character, goes the opposite direction.
I know we tend to do this a lot on this show because it is one of our highest rated shows of all time. But am I in the wrong for saying Jamie Tart is to Ted Lasso and Nate is to Ted Lasso what Steve Harrington and Jonathan are to Stranger Things?
I would say, like, not in terms of personalities, but in terms of, like, popularity.
But, like, and, like, character, like, arcs. Like, Steve started out in season 1 as, like, the dickhead, like, bully, and then develops into, like, the mom of the kids and everything, and, like, the lovable character by everybody. And then Jonathan, it's like, oh, you feel bad for him and everything in season 1 because he's getting bullied, and then he turns into, like, the annoying one, and everybody wants to ship Nancy and Steve together and everything like that. That's kind of like Nate, where it's like Nate starts off as like the lovable loser and then has slowly but surely evolved into like this like pompous, I think I'm better than everybody type of character. And then Jamie Tart is, like you said, like he seems like an asshole and everything, and then now this season he's kind of turning a page and he's becoming a more likable character.
Yeah, no, there's some comparisons there. I just definitely know that it's, in terms of Nate, he's on a very downward spiral, and there's more to come with that. So that's why I'm like biting my tongue in terms of like, I think the comparison's there to make for you, and that's fair. But I think it'll be a little different in terms of he just you'll see. I know.
And for everybody at home, I'm not saying personality wise or like character themselves, just character arc wise. It's very
character
similar
arc
matchup.
Jamie's a good one. That's spot on. Nate, I'm a little hesitant to say yes. With Jamie, that's a great comparison because Jamie, honestly, probably now that I have to just watch the season finale, but up until then, Jamie is one of the better character arcs I've seen done in a television show in my history of living. So, and I don't say that lightly. I've watched Sopranos and other notable shows. So, yeah. The best is yet to come. But no, that's a great comparison by Kyle, though. And yes, we do use Stranger Things a lot, but it is applicable for others.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
So while in a close game against Tottenham Hotspur in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, which if you aren't already, go subscribe to Top Bins. It's our official Premier League, Serie A, and Champions League.
Shout out to Ryan Jones. That's his team.
They are a hot mess right now, to say the least. But in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and all four coaches give Jamie the signal. Do it with me, Dylan. There's the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Raising their middle finger at him and leading him to score a goal. Ted suddenly has a panic attack and leaves the pitch with Richmond in disarray. Spurs score. That part kind of threw me off a little bit because I couldn't tell where like the voices in his head were coming from. I don't know if I just like forgot from previous episodes that we watched last week or if it's just kind of just like meant to just be a full-on just random type of thing.
Because the character is so optimistic and so driven to help others, and they've sprinkled the mental health issues in for him along the way, and they've kind of masked it. So I think whenever it flares up, like you're just saying, I think it kind of takes you by surprise every time because he's such a overly positive guy. That's the narrative, and that's the thing in terms of like I used this example before. Like you look at the Robin Williams people, like Robin Williams of the world. It's like that man, his whole purpose while he was alive was to make others laugh, but in reality, he was suffering the most. And I think that's a good, once again, to compare. That's a good character arc, or not character arc, it's a comparison, between the two, because I think Ted, as you're seeing, is suffering a lot more than he lets on. He's just a goofy Southern man, but he is a sad boy, unfortunately.
100%. But like I said, Ted has a sudden panic attack. He leaves the pitch with Richmond in disarray. Spurs score, and without Ted, Nate steps in and calls a triple substitution that leads to the game-winning score for Richmond. Sharon finds Ted in her office asking for help, and that's where that episode ends. It kind of really takes the deep plunge into this season's mental health arc, like Dylan was mentioning. Obviously, we've had the team therapist now full send this season for the most part, and now it's gotten to the point where it's gotten to the next ladder, and that is the coaching staff, and that is our main character of Ted Lasso.
And what a place to have a panic attack. Like, that's the one thing that's also crazy. Like, a lot of people have panic attacks, like, fortunately for them, not having it, but, like, a lot of people have it in, like, a somewhat controlled environment, but our fan favorite character had it in front of, I don't know how many the stadium holds, but a lot. And it's also televised, and as we know, soccer is very popular in England. Or football, as they call it. So my point is, like, he literally had a mental breakdown, a panic attack, in front of literally millions, essentially, when you dial back to how many. Because that's going to be in that world, as it would be in ours. That's going to be on Twitter, and it's going to be viral. Like, head coach leaves game. You know what I mean?
Yep, which we saw, Nate scrolling Twitter after and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, I think one
the
of
Wonder Kid.
had to poop or something.
Yeah.
For Ted leaving, but yeah, exactly. That's you're seeing Nate developing a narcissistic ego for himself, which is ironic. It's almost like it would have been healthy had you dial it back a couple steps because he was finally getting self-confidence, which many people, including myself, at times lack. But like he got too much self-confidence. He said cocky, and now he's just kind of like the kind of person who stares at the mirror and like likes what they see a little too much kind of vibe. And you're seeing that with Twitter.
And it dates back to, I forget if it's like early of season 2 or in season 1 when everybody's telling Nate, you don't want the fame. You don't want to be famous. Like it's nothing but trouble. And now you're seeing like, here comes Nate with the fame, and it's turning into what is supposed to be his downfall.
For sure. That's a great way to put that.
So episode 6 right there for everybody, The Signal. Really enjoyed this episode. I think they did a great job because I believe this is the mid-season episode. Yes, it is.
Mid-season, yep.
So great like mid-season point to kind of stick your feet in the sand of where you're going to take this thing for the back half of the season. And when this came out, The Signal received critical acclaim from Miles McNutt of the AV Club, who gave the episode an A- and wrote, "The Signal has lots of great moments sprinkled throughout, but the central juxtaposition between a thrilling victory for AFC Richmond and an ATL for Ted elevates the proceedings and pushes the show into another gear at the halfway point in the season. And the most effective part of the episode is that although I have some lingering concerns stemming from the choices in last week's episode, I don't really know where things go from here. The team might be on an upward swing, but the show is descending into deeper emotional territory, and unpacking it has the potential to elevate the storytelling further. And sure, it could also mess everything up, but that's how television works, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." What a perfect definition of television.
It's true. It was a great episode. It's one of my more favorable ones from season 2. I would go as far to rate that one very close to like a 9, just because of the tackling with the mental issues. I think that's important, and I think it does a good job at, once again, like I said earlier, like surprising you. So I give like an 8.9 would be my grade for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8.8, which 8.85 rounded up. 8.8. Jump head. That rounds it up to an 8.9. So there it is for episode 6 of season 2 of Ted Lasso, which takes us to episode 7, titled Headspace. Ted's first 2 sessions with Sharon prove fruitless. He leaves the first almost immediately and storms out of the second after expressing his skepticism and contempt towards psychotherapy, after couples therapy failed to save his marriage. During the third visit, however, Ted apologizes for his outbursts and decides to commit to the therapy process. Roy unwittingly begins spending every moment he can with Keely, to the point where she feels smothered. The two fight after Roy learns that Keely has been complaining about his overbearing behavior to Rebecca and others in the boot room where smoking doesn't count.
Yeah, that's true. The episode was kind of an interesting one as well. I'm just like reading back at what happens, and I just recall it once again. My hatred for Nate grew.
So then, due to Ted's absence, Nate coaches AFC Richmond while Roy begins to spend all his free time, like I mentioned, with Keely, who's becoming uncomfortable with his constant presence. Nate is delighted to see the media praise him for his role in the team's victory. However, he is disappointed when his father downplays his role, once again making him feel insecure. This prompts him to act rudely to some of the crew, including Colin, a player who previously mocked him, and Will, the new kit man. The latter is witnessed by Beard, who becomes concerned about Nate. Having been advised by the team, Keely tries to discourage Roy from spending every minute with her. However, Roy sits with her while she watches Sex and the City, reading and commenting on the Da Vinci Code. Keely finally tells Roy that she needs some space, revealing she talked with the team about him. This upsets Roy, who storms out. Keely dissolves into tears, and at that moment, it's like, oh shit, like, is this like the end of the power couple?
No, they're just going through a little scare.
And during another therapy session, Ted apologizes for mocking Sharon's profession, intending to open up more. Called out by Beard for his behavior, Nate apologizes for his comments to Colin and is forgiven by the club, although Ted is unaware of what he did. While leading a training session, Roy admonishes Jamie for not supporting a teammate by staying close to him, but Jamie says he needed to give his teammate space. Roy interprets that as applying to him and Keely. That night, Roy tells Keely that he understands her frustration and runs her a candlelit rose bath where he plucked all the roses from her neighbor's yard and ripped them to fucking shreds.
He did do that. It was a very sweet gesture.
So then the candlelit rose bath to enjoy all by herself, and she's not going to see him for at least 3 hours. Also that night, Ted encounters Trent Krim at a pub, who asks for a statement on his exit from the game. Ted continues claiming it was food poisoning, and in his office, Nate happily scrolls through tweets that praise him. He then runs into a tweet that calls him a loser despite winning, and hurt by this, Nate once again is cruel to Will, throwing down the special Wonder Kid jersey Will inspired the team to give him.
Boo.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Gets an ounce of power. And he just turns it. It really bothers me because he just picking on the guy who did the same exact job he did. And I understand, like, Nate did get picked on. You know, people like to point that out. You know, like, well, he was picked on, and I'm like, well, guess what? He got picked on doesn't mean he gets the right to pick on the next poor soul that has to wash all the jerseys. You know, you would think someone who was in that position would have learned, but. Once again, to go back to what we said last episode, Nate is just further going down the rabbit hole of becoming too engaged in his own self-image. And it's very much, as you see, at the point where it's like extremely unhealthy.
100%. I really enjoyed, like, this episode was definitely like kind of gut punches and like makes you feel things that you're not expected to feel.
Yeah.
It's a very like deep episode and one of the deeper ones so far, I think, just across the board in terms
Rest of the season, buckle up, is tackling. There's like one episode that's gonna be like, yeah. There's one episode that's gonna be like, you're gonna be like, what did I just watch? But it's fun, and then the rest are gonna be deep dives into what we're talking about now.
And it's a lot of just like emotional intelligence, emotion in general, and just like relationship management across the board. And our guy, Miles McNutt from the AV Club, at the time this episode came out, gave the episode a B+ and wrote, "This might mean that a character like Nate starts to fall in our estimation, but that's a natural extension of what we knew about the character thus far, and despite my initial reservations, has evolved into a rich vein of storytelling for the back half of the season." And this goes back to everything you and I have talked about when we talked Ted Lasso on this show, like the way that the writers and the directors on this show are able to manage so many storylines, so many character arcs all at once, and not make it muddied and not water down one to elevate another to where you're getting lost, you know, trying to follow along with different storylines, is so well done.
Yeah, like this episode, I'm going to give it a lower score, but so I'll say the score and I'll agree with that. So, like, point is, I'll give this one like an 8 because I liked it, but I don't think it's as good as the previous one, but I don't think it's bad. So, to prove what Kyle just said, like, I don't like this episode nearly as much as I like some of the other ones in the season, but I'm still giving it an 8, and that's an indication of great storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. So, yes, they do a phenomenal job of being able to balance multiple storylines and multiple points of trauma at the same time. You gotta love it, and by love it, I mean it makes you sad.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8.6. So our scores together makes it an 8.3. It's very enjoyable, and like I said, it makes you like it gut checks you a little bit on just like
Definitely.
your own personal life, and like goes through like your brain goes through so many different like emotional steps as you watch this episode. So definitely enjoyed it a lot. So we give it an 8.3 there, which brings us to, Dylan, the end of this week's Ted Lasso Watch Along, and a new segment season where Christian and I recorded this previously, so it's going to be put in there, breaking the fourth wall for everybody. It's brought to you by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game, from sunglasses to blue light glasses to prescription lenses and even ski goggles, Tomahawk Shades has you covered. The sun is out. Summertime's here, and when you're watching your favorite shows and movies, you should be wearing blue light glasses while you're staring at screens to protect your eyes. You're going to feel better, you're going to sleep better, and your eyes aren't going to be as strained. Go to TomahawkShades.com because they are offering high-quality eyewear for a fraction of the big eyewear companies, and it's even better quality. TomahawkShades.com, fill up your cart, and when you go to checkout, use our code USP for 25% off your order at TomahawkShades.com. That's TomahawkShades.com, code USP for 25% off your order. It is new segment season here on Streamer Season.
Let's go.
We're going to do this hopefully for just some of the bigger and more talked about in the pop culture zeitgeist movies that hit the theaters directly. Obviously, our whole ethos on this show is streaming platforms. But when big movies come out, we don't want to not talk about them and not dive into them. So as I mentioned, I saw The Machine on Sunday.
You
As
did?
soon as I tweeted out that I was seeing The Machine, Christian texted me no less than 30 seconds later in all caps. I need to be on this week's episode. We need to talk about The Machine. I fucking loved it. So you know if Christian loved it, you're going to love it. Everybody at home's going to love it. And the other fun part about this, Dylan, I talked about this when I recorded with Christian, posted on my Instagram story that we were going to see it. Bert Kreischer saw the Instagram story. I then tweeted that The Machine was fantastic. Bert Kreischer and Legendary Pictures retweeted my tweet. We are one step closer to Bert Kreischer coming on this podcast.
Dude, if he comes on the podcast, I'll fucking drink the Kool-Aid out of the
Get you a growler of Kool-Aid.
I got it right here.
Bert is, and I talk about this a lot with Christian too, but Bert Kreischer is my favorite comedian. He's so relatable. He's just such an overwhelmingly positive figure in the comedy scene. It's cool to just watch him be a fan of other people too, and watch him be so supportive of other people around him. And that's what makes you love Bert Kreischer. And he's just so goddamn funny that it's hard. Like, it's impossible to not love Bert Kreischer. I've been a huge Bert fan for as long as I can remember. I think you have too. Like, we've talked about Bert just in general.
Since like the Machine skit went not even viral, went like a soft viral. Like, I think that's when I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool, and I started following his stand up a little bit, and I started like watching clips of him, and I would love watching clips when it's him and Tom Segura.
Yeah.
When it's those two, and I know it's a little controversial, but whatever. When those two mixed with Joe Rogan are together, I piss myself. They say the stupidest stuff.
And I mean, just the stuff that Bert does, like the 24-hour challenge that he had with KFC Radio, and they went to Amsterdam, and then his wife flips the 24-hour challenge on him for the movie premiere and gets bussin' with the boys, Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, to fly out to his movie premiere, unbeknownst to Bert. It was just so cool just like watching Bert take in this entire experience. And then I don't know if you saw the clips from his red carpet.
Yeah,
holy shit.
Stuff.
Like, had axe throwing at his red carpet, beer pong, all types of, party games going on, and it's a red carpet event. It was unbelievable. I also was watching Bert on Bussin' with the Boys a few months ago. The episode was from Bert's parents are from Philly, Dylan.
I did not know that.
He's got Philly ties through and through, which makes it even more fun for him to come on the pod. And
Eagles guy.
He's a Florida State guy, Dylan.
Did not know that.
He went to Florida State.
Wow. Didn't know my own alumnus.
So there it is. Bert Kreischer, The Machine. Can't recommend it enough. Christian and I are about to jump into our review of The Machine. Go see it. It is so worth it. It is a movie, Dylan, that there's very few movies we've gotten recently that I'd go back to the theater to see a second and third time. This movie is laugh your face off funny. One of the best action comedy movies since the early 2010s.
That's good. We need them.
Go see it. And without any further ado, welcome to Theater Talk, our new segment here on StreamerSZN. Welcome everybody to a brand new
Welcome
segment.
to the machine.
Welcome to the machine. Brand that we might try to incorporate a little more.
I hope
we're gonna
we
call
do.
it Theater Talk, and it's for movies that are in the theaters, and it'll be a separate segment usually from the typical rundown because it'll be a more just in-depth conversation about one singular movie.
Hopefully we do this about Spider-Verse.
Oh, absolutely, we have to. But this one, to kick it off, there's no better way to do it than with Bert Kreischer's The Machine.
Woof.
Just unbelievable. I tweeted that we were going to see it. DJ is in town as well. He came to see it with me. We had a whole theater to ourselves, which was phenomenal. We were just cackling like the hyenas from The Lion King the entire time. We tweeted no less than 3 minutes later. Christian texts me in all caps, I need to be on the pod this week. We need to talk about The Machine. I loved it. And I said, okay, one, if Christian loved this movie, unbelievable. We have to talk about The Machine. Bert Kreischer is my guy. He is my favorite comedian, like hands down. I've been the biggest Bert Kreischer fan for as long as I can remember, and it makes it even better this week. I was watching him on another podcast, just catching up on pods that I watch, and he just dropped a little nugget, Christian, that both of his parents, if I'm not mistaken, at least his mom, but I'm pretty sure both of his parents are from Philadelphia. He's got heavy Philadelphia ties. He's got like 50 cousins that are from Philly. So Bert Kreischer, confirmed Philly guy. So it makes it all much better.
So how do we get him to make like a Philly mob-related film? How does he mess with the Philly mob? Bert, call us, right? Call us, Bert.
Yes, and one, this goes without saying, Bert Kreischer has an open invitation on any of our podcasts because that would just be a dream come true. Big, and that a lot of our listeners are of Bert Kreischer, would absolutely love to just chop it up with The Machine.
The Machine.
So let's get into it. If you haven't seen The Machine yet, pause this episode, go to your local theater, go watch The Machine, then come back, take in our podcast, and then go see The Machine again because it's that good. It's that good that you're going to want to see it so many times. Christian, your initial just reaction, thoughts before we dive deep into The Machine.
So I first heard about this movie when I came across a trailer of it, and this was when it was like first when the trailer first dropped. I was like, huh, okay. And then Mark Hamill showed up. I'm like, okay, I now have to watch this because Mark Hamill's in it, and I care so much about just Mark Hamill. And listen, this is Bert's movie, but Mark Hamill's so much fucking fun in it. And so I went and saw it, and I was like, I'll probably have a good time. I had so much fun. I had an unbelievable amount of fun with this movie. And I was not quite expecting to have that much fun. And so it was like me and 10 to 15 other people at the AMC Cherry Hill 24 at like 10:15 at night.
That's around when we went and saw it. It was like 10:25 at night.
And we had a fucking ball, man. And
it's the best.
Let's just get into this shit so we can dig deeper into it. But oh my god,
the funniest part about this movie too, that I think you'll love from just a film like nerd and film buff standpoint, Bert broke like cardinal sin number 1 and leaked the trailer before it was even confirmed to be released as a trailer on the Joe Rogan yeah, in a lot of trouble for that. And he was like, I don't care. It's fantastic. So if you don't know the background of The Machine, it is
go watch Bert's comedy bit.
Yes, which is on Netflix again now, and it's now on his YouTube channel. it all comes from one of Bert's stand-up clips that is the clip that made him go viral and get to this level of success that he's at today. When he was 22 years old, he got involved with the Russian mafia.
During a class trip to, was it still Soviet Russia at the time?
I don't believe so.
Because
I think it was post-Soviet Union.
Because what year does it go back to?
I want to say it's got to be like the 80s.
Well, the USSR didn't dissolve until the 1990s. So if you pull up the machine film,
yeah, it might have been then.
20th, no. Well, it says end of the 20th century, so we'll just say this: if it happened before 1992, it was Soviet Russia. If not, it was Russia.
Well, we can actually figure this out by just looking at Bert's age. He's 50.
What year in college was he?
I think it was his senior year.
So let's just take 25 years. Yeah, well, yeah, mid to late 90s. So yeah, it was back to Russia.
Yeah, it was 1995.
Yeah.
And I mean the true basis of the story being used to catapult this movie to where it goes is fantastic. And vocals of Bert's stand-up special, and I mean the 100% go watch even just that clip of the stand-up, but go watch the whole stand-up because it's fantastic. But it's based on a true story, and that's what makes it even funnier.
Yeah, like this is such an insane concept for a film that like I always thought it'd be like a fun novelty film because like, oh, it's a comedian doing a fictional expansion of his famous comedy act. Yeah, this will be fun. But like it's so much more than fun. And we can nitpick a few things as we go deep, but this is like a great theatrical experience.
Mm-hmm.
We can debate on how good of an actual movie it is, but it's an amazing time to see.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many. Sure, like if you watch Two Bears One Cave, if you watch his podcast, if you know his stand-up and like know his life, it makes the movie that much more hilarious. Especially in the opening scene when the birthday party's going on and Bert's actual wife is there playing his fictional daughter's best friend's in the middle of or recently divorced mom. That's Bert's actual wife, which is just fantastic. And I laughed my ass off when I saw Leanne in there, and she's an absolute savage.
I'm always one who loves some good stunt casting.
It was great. And a fun part about this too is Bert and his wife were the ones who cast like the big roles of this movie.
I would love to hear the conversation of Bert talking to Mark Hamill to convince him to play his father. Like I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one.
There's that, and then Bert's wife cast Jimmy Tatro as young Bert. He walked in the room and she said, "He's the one. He's the one. He's got to play you," with her Southern Georgia accent, and it was fantastic. There's also a very funny story that Bert tells of whoever plays it's Eva Babich. She's like, they're meeting, during in between like scenes that they're filming in Serbia, and she's like, I want to be introduced to Mark Hamill, but don't bring up Star Wars. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I don't know anything about Star Wars.
Bert.
So Bert goes, "Mark, this is Eva. Eva, do your best do your Chewbacca impression. It's fantastic." So then she proceeds to say, "I love Star Wars. and Bert and Mark lose their minds laughing. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Well, for once, we don't have a proper Wikipedia plot description to talk through, but I think that's best when it comes to this film.
It's so good. It's so
Well,
off the cuff.
So there's a few things I want to touch on here. And this is my biggest gripe, and Kyle, I talk about this so much. They fucking shoot so much of this shit practically in actual tangible fucking locations. And it makes it just look so much better. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure Bert did a lot of his fucking own stunts too.
He did all of his own stunts.
Which again makes it look so much fucking better.
Rules.
And like 95% of comedians would just be like, nah, get me a stuntman. Bert actively makes the movie so much better by him actually doing the stuff in the frame. Like the culminating fight at the club, especially during the hand-to-hand combat sequence, looks so good because it's actually him doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes, please.
And just Bert's acting ability, like, yes, he has a stage presence from being a stand-up comedian, but like, I went in with like, he's gonna be funny, he's gonna be fun. Like, Bert was fantastic in this movie, just because he gets to be himself.
Yeah, he quite literally. I quite literally felt like I was like watching him doing his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's just make something clear here. Mark Hamill steals the show in this film 1,000,000%, and the banter between the two of them is it's immense. Probably like and again, to touch on then when Mark Hamill's high on speed. And he just did it, and he's like, shut up. It's like, man.
I mean, the one thing DJ and I talked about with this movie is the amount of one-liners that come out of this movie are going to be talked about all summer. There are so many fantastic one-liners in this movie that have you cackling the entire time.
And when this movie ends up on streaming, it's going to be a movie I'm going to revisit a lot more than I ever should.
Absolutely.
Like this film's level of filmmaking is so much higher than it has any right to be.
And I mean,
it astounds me.
The budget for this movie was $20 million. Opening weekend, it made $6.4 million.
And that's just domestically.
Exactly.
And what I'll say this, $20 million is even kind of high when it comes to a budget for a film like this. Like, now, albeit probably a good portion of that budget went to Mark, and then shooting in
Serbia.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies where you can see where the money went.
Right.
Whereas, and I know, Kyle, you will defend this film to the death, The Gray Man. I
won't defend it. It was mid.
That movie cost $200 million, and they barely fucking filmed the actual shit in Europe, and they just green screened so much of it. It's like, where did the $200 million go, guys? Where did the $200 million go? Like, you can see how they got to $20 million. Like, I don't know how they quite got to $20 million, but I can understand how it made to at least like 15.
I mean, like you said, you can see where the 20 million goes into it, and not saying it's going to reach the levels or like even the stratosphere that like a Napoleon Dynamite did, because Napoleon Dynamite just blew things out of the water with how cheap the budget was to how much money that movie made. But you can see how this movie's going to far surpass the budget that it made for itself.
Yeah, and here's quite not a fair example, but there's plenty of low budget films that become like cult classics or actual legitimate classics. How big do you think the budget on Get Out was?
The Get Out budget, I'm gonna say it had to have been $100 million. That's my guess.
Are we talking about the same movie? Get Out, the Jordan Peele film starring Daniel Kaluuya.
I'm probably high. Am I high or low?
You were saying the budget to make that film was $100 million.
I never saw. That's the one Daniel Kaluuya movie or the one Jordan Peele movie I haven't seen.
So you haven't seen his best film? Okay, shrug. $4.5 million.
Okay.
And it was voted as like one of the 100 best films ever in the last Sight and Sound poll. So like it is very much like, I'm very much of the mind, like, if you can like look at a movie and figure out where the budget went and it looks like that budget, it deserved that budget. And this film very much deserved that budget. It probably won't make all that money back in theaters, but I'm happy they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had probably the best time I will have in theaters until I see Spider-Verse tonight in an hour.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, Bert had one of the most electric red carpets for this movie too. Like axe throwing, beer pong, the amount of superstars that were at that red carpet were unbelievable. His wife initiated his 24-hour challenge once again and had Bussin' with the Boys come out on 24 hours notice to the red carpet. Like it was a phenomenal just like optic thing to get prepared for it, and it's something that like Bert takes so seriously because of the type of person for people who like support him and everything, and that's why I'm such a fan of his, because I see a lot of myself in how Bert carries himself. But I mean, like you said, like the way that the budget was utilized in this, there's so many hilarious portions of this movie. My brain always goes back to the train scene where Bert's fist is lodged in the fucking mafia member's throat. Like, that was gnarly.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk through some of the great set pieces. The entirety of the train, Bert trying to hide in an elevator, proceeding to try to shoot one guy's knee, who he then shoots in the head and sets off a Rube Goldberg machine of of the dead man shooting another guy who that now dead guy shoots another dead guy in the head, and he kills 3 people, and then Bert proceeds to have an existential crisis. And you're just cackling all the way.
It's so good. And I mean, it's not really a set piece per se, but it is like just it's a vehicle to move the film along. The way that they bounced from present day Bert to young Bert and had that help tell the story was so well done.
Yeah, they do a good job of kind of using sets, but also changing the sets for the time period. So it's kind of like they are going to multiple places, but they're fundamentally using one place. So it's like very smart filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, movie was done by Sony and Legendary Entertainment. Humble brag, they retweeted me.
They retweeted me too and liked me too, but the difference is Bert. Bert
Kreischer did retweet me. Now I know from just watching Bert Kreischer content, he doesn't have the keys to his social media. So it wasn't exactly Bert. He also saw my Instagram story, which was pretty neat. So Bert's people know I exist, which is pretty sweet. And it's very funny, like, that this movie took an extra year to be put out because it's been ready, but they sat on it because of everything happening in the Ukraine and Russia. So they wanted to wait.
Yeah, there's a movie that kind of had a similar thing happen to it. It's a Guy Ritchie film called Operation Fortune. Rooster Jason. It is Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Carrie Eloise, Hugh Grant, and it got shelved for a while, for like over a year, because right before it was going to get released, Russia invaded Ukraine, and the movie just so happened to have Ukrainian bad people in it.
Oh no!
And so they were like, "We're gonna shelve this for a little bit," and then it proceeded to lose all momentum, and then just got quietly released, and now it's gonna be dumped on Amazon for free sooner rather than later.
I think the beginning of this movie too is very funny, especially if you don't really know Bert, and you're like, this like the amount of people that I'm almost positive that if you don't know who Bert Kreischer is or know his background and you go into this thinking the beginning of that movie is factual is very funny.
The 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 way Mark Hamill gets introduced with just like with just like the clicking and then the classic dad move of lording over the grill. It's so relatable and good. Minus
so great.
Minus the clicking part, but the grill part is very relatable.
Yes. And then I think one of my favorite aspects was just the way that they progressed through settings and everything, putting the giant, setting locations up on the screen, making it fun, to let you know, hey, we're heading to a new spot, but it's not as invasive as some other movies are when they put those types of things on the screen. Also, little cartoon Bert on the vodka bottle, hilarious.
One thing I do think we have to shout out is all of the European actors
Yes.
in this film, because they are all relative no names to us, and it's all just like pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who plays Igor is unbelievable.
So funny. So funny.
Hilarious.
And then and then Irina's brother just looks like Ivan Drago 2.0.
Yes. And then her younger brother looks like just a way younger, way less plastic surgery induced Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. He's Ivan Vanko before the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Igor, because what a fun, hilarious, just incredible side character.
Bert
Village
looked like
Man.
bear. Bert looked like bear. And
It's Village's greatest day. You find Bert, we find whore. The way I fell out of my seat.
And yeah, my theater erupted at that, and just like the fact he has all these fucking kids. It's like, where the fuck did this come from?
Do you want me to prepare this whore for fucking? Just so many of the lines in this movie too. Like, yes, it was a red band trailer. It's Bert Kreischer.
A red band trailer is a badge of fucking honor, man.
Oh, 100%.
Like this and James Gunn's Suicide Squad, all time red band shit.
Yes.
It's like,
that was the case. Going and knowing it's Bert Kreischer, it's gonna be comedy. He's gonna not hold back. you still get caught off guard with so many of the fucking lines in this movie in the best way possible.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a Mel Brooksian quality in terms of it's just like these lines get thrown out there and you almost want to do a spit take.
The amount of times like DJ and I were like flailing in our seats laughing was unbelievable. And I mean, Bert was hilarious. He was on a podcast saying that opening weekend he wanted this to make $152 million.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
And they were like, "Isn't that like Avengers level?" And he was like, "Yeah, Avengers did 130 million." I mean, the laughs that you have with this movie, like we said, the hell, like how well it's like directed, how well it's produced. It is one of the best action comedy movies of the last, I don't know, decade at least.
Okay, that's where I'm gonna draw somewhat of a line because there's a deep fucking bench of those. Uh, I will say it is one of the better ones of the last 4 to 5 years. I'll give you that much, but I'm not giving you much more than that.
I'm even struggling to like think of action comedy movies that have come out that are even like worth a damn.
Well, first of all, grade A, number one with a bullet, The Nice Guys. The people who know that movie, it is grade A. So much fucking fun. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, 21 Jump Street, kick ass. Deadpool. Like
I said last decade. Scott Pilgrim was 2010.
Kingsman.
Never saw it.
You're missing out. But it's like Kingsman, The Nice Guys, Spider-Verse, 21 Jump Street technically falls 1 year outside, but I'm counting it. Like it is in the upper half. I'll put it like that.
Cause like I feel like the 2000s and like early 2010s, that was like action comedies like that you were rattling off. That was like the peak time era. I think this movie is like it's phenomenal for what it is, and you and I texted about that too. And I feel like it could be like a Kickstarter to be like, hey, it's okay to make these kind of movies again.
Yeah, it is very much a film that feels like of a past time.
Yeah, like it feels like this movie could like if you told me without any knowledge of it this movie was made in like 2009, I would have believed you. And that's what's cool about it is like if it gives you that nostalgia factor of that era of movies, and it's even funnier because it is loosely based on Bert Kreischer's real life. The acting is so well done. The cast is unbelievable. And they tell a story that it makes you feel like it's just a continuation of Bert's machine story, and that it truly could happen. And like Bert has been on the record saying he wants to do a Machine 2, he wants to do a Machine 3. Sign me the fuck up. Wherever the dotted line is, sign me up, because this was just so much fun. And like it is a movie that I would go see this in the theater time and time again. I can't wait for it to be on streaming as well, so that way when it is out of the theaters, I can just sit down and watch The Machine. It is a laugh your face off type movie.
Yeah. Like I think we've pretty much said all we can say about it without because unlike other films we may talk about, like there's not that much deep thematic stuff to dig into it into this film, like shorts talking about fatherhood, familial relationships, the weight of expectation upon oneself, specifically with Arena. There's a lot of gender related stuff, but none of it's all that deep. It has its moments, but it doesn't truly go for it all the time. It's kind of used more as a slight vessel to tint everything.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, we didn't touch on him too much. I do think the casting of Jimmy Tatro as young Bert was flawless. He was great. Loved it. And the moment they're in the woods where he's like, I am really high. Just fantastic. Like, just such a great movie. I don't know where you stand on the tomato meter. I'll give it to you right now. The critic tomato meter is 22%. The audience score is 88%.
So
critics is based on 18 reviews, and then the audience is based on 500 plus verified ratings.
So here's and I wrote a whole paper talking about this. Critic ratings on Rotten Tomato are critics doing objective measures of the film's quality, not necessarily the enjoyment of the film. Audience rating is really the absolute opposite. So it's a little more critic snobbery, but if we check Gold Letterboxd, Letterboxd has the average rating at a 2.9. So yeah, it is
Which
it is very
us...
it's very much a 6 out of 10, maybe peak 7 out of 10 film, but a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 good time.
Yeah, I think me just being the Bert fan I'm giving it a 7.5 because I get that just added enjoyment from being a Bert fan and knowing like all of his shit. But
I'm gonna go
6.5 on the enjoyment level. It's like an 11 out of 10. Like,
yeah, like
it's so fun.
I'm gonna go 6.5. Because when comparing to other films, I like it more than a lot of 6s, but I don't know if it's better than a bunch of my 7s. So I'd say 6.5.
Which our scores combined makes it an even 7. Couldn't recommend going and seeing this movie more. Yourself a favor. Take a night out. Go to the movie theater with your friends, your family, whoever it may be. Go see The Machine. I truly think this could also open the door, and Bert talked about this too, where there are other comedians that have other, not exactly similar things, but they're being offered to do shows and movies themselves. If you support Bert in this and you have a favorite comedian that you want to potentially see on a big screen or on a TV show situation, go and support this movie because that's what's going to make it happen for your favorite comedian, and it's going to bring back the action comedy genre in full force. So shout out to Bert, and The Machine fucking ruled, and couldn't recommend it enough. So there's our first theater talk. The Machine. It's in theaters. Go see it. It's not an ad.
Do see it.
It's just so you can go laugh your face off. But without any further ado, let's get back into the episode. Shout out to everybody for tuning into Theater Talk. If you haven't seen The Machine, go see it. I told Dylan to go see it.
I like that.
He's going to gear up for it. And without any further ado, let's get into everybody's favorite segment. is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our awesome partners over at Kenwood Beer, the exclusive beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, 4.1% ABV, just 127 calories, 10 grams of carbs. They're working on new branding that looks absolutely beautiful, and you guys can enjoy an ice-cold Kenwood beer by going to kenwoodbeer.com and using the Kenny Tracker to see who has Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can buy Kenwood at your local Philadelphia area liquor store or in Eastern Pennsylvania, your local Whole Foods. Light body, light calories, plenty of flavor. The best light beer on the planet. It's Dylan's favorite beverage choice when he's sifting through the news and notes throughout the streaming platform Multiverse. You must be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Dylan loves an ice cold Kenny.
I do. I think there's actually a couple downstairs as we speak, not being used. Maybe tomorrow for sure.
Dylan, we start things off with Daddy Pedro. Pedro Pascal says he got an eye infection after letting many fans take selfies with their thumbs in my eyes following his role in Game of Thrones.
You haven't seen the show, so you don't get it. But that's gross. But it makes sense.
That is like... now out on Max is Parasite. Christian asked me yesterday, when are we doing the Parasite episode? So once we're able to get into our Max accounts, we'll have to watch Parasite, and we'll be breaking that down on the pod soon. But HBO's Francesca Orsi says the Parasite series is still on the early side of development.
Interesting.
Cool.
We
got a new look at Samuel L. Jackson in Secret Invasion Man. He is the Secret Invasion Man.
He very much is that man.
We got Across the Spider-Verse Marvel Legends figures now available on the Jeff Bezos machine. It comes out tonight, and then tomorrow's like the actual premiere day.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Christian got to see it at midnight, that lucky son of a gun.
Did he say good things?
He hasn't informed me yet, but I will be...
He usually lets us know. He usually tells us... He makes it a point to tell us yes or no. He likes being that guy for us. Appreciate him, so I'm sure he'll say it.
Chris Miller says they've saved several Spider people for Beyond the Spider-Verse. You thought that you've seen every Spider person that you could imagine, but not every Spider person we can imagine, adds Phil Lord.
Dude, I didn't know that. Don't go there for a second.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That Andy Samberg is going to be in that movie.
Yeah.
And he is the clone of Spider-Man. He is Benjamin Riley, I believe is the clone's name.
Mm-hmm.
It's clone of the Spider-Man is 616. So for people who aren't as super nerdy, he is the clone of like the OG Spider-Man. Which means by definition he's relatively OG himself, but he's the clone of the OG Spider-Man. You get what I'm saying?
Clone
here?
of Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah, because Spider-Man
theoretically.
Tom Holland is confirmed to be 616 Spider-Man, right?
Yep.
For the you. So yeah.
You'll enjoy this one, Dylan. Kevin Feige reveals who almost played Doctor Doom in 2005's Fantastic Four movie.
Let me know.
Can you take a wild guess at who it may be?
You said Doctor Doom?
Mm-hmm.
In Kevin Feige's what movie?
Kevin Feige revealed this person almost played Doctor Doom in 2005's Fantastic Four.
Are they like old now, or were they?
Not really.
Okay, I'm just trying to eliminate like older actors like in the 60s. Michael Fassbender?
Incorrect. This person is MCU canon.
So, not Tom Cruise.
You're close.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
That's what I figured.
We would have had Captain America: Civil War 10 years early. It would have been Chris Evans versus Robert Downey Jr. in the Fantastic Four.
They could have been like, this is the second time they face off.
Ari Aster says he makes every film, quote, as though I won't make another and hope that I'm still going to be around.
Interesting.
This is kind of good, but also kind of strange. HBO's drama chief Francesca Orsi says HBO has no interest in making reboots of their own shows. We'd rather find something totally original, new, and underivative in terms of its world.
Interesting.
I don't hate it, but it's also like, huh.
For anyone who cares, because I'm being that guy, the casting list, the guy from The Lonely Island, not Andy Samberg. Well, he's also in it. The one guy wears glasses. Jorma Taccone. I think he's SNL as well. He is going to be the Vulture in the Spider-Man.
That's sick.
Because I was like, Adrian Tomes, who's that? And I was like, wait a second. That's the Vulture.
That's sweet.
You're welcome. Or not welcome if you're like, he ruined it for me.
Martin Scorsese, Dylan, has met with... This is a Mad Lib. This is a Mad Lib headline from Variety. Martin Scorsese has met with the Pope and announced that he will make a film about Jesus.
What?
Scorsese says, I have responded to the Pope's appeal to artists in the only way I know how, by imagining and writing a screenplay for a film about Jesus.
Cool.
What? Andy Muschietti, when asked what direction he would go if he directed his own Batman movie, quote, I don't think I can talk to that. ... Yet.
Yeah. Interesting.
We also have a story for Dylan, one of Dylan's favorite series going right now, already being developed, a story for Extraction 3.
What?
I know how much you love the Extraction films, Dylan.
What?
Vin Diesel says, outside of family, they have to deliver a satisfying conclusion for the Fast and Furious films because we've never, in Universal history, had a cliffhanger like we had in this movie, talking about Fast X.
Fast X.
This week, Dylan, all 4 Indiana Jones movies will release on Disney+.
Okay, I'm kind of pumped about that because I do like rewatching.
Christian said we should do a full Indiana Jones rewatch.
Harrison Ford, you have me at hello. I'm ready.
Amanda Stenberg will voice Spider-Bite in Across the Spider-Verse. And like Dylan mentioned, Andy Samberg is confirmed to voice Ben Reilly in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. The only other ones I've found out by looking at IMDb and using my nerd knowledge is that Jason Schwartzman, you've seen him before, most people. He's a weird actor. He has a weird mustache. He's going to be a character called, I'm not sure how I pronounce the last name, but his villain is the Spot, and that makes sense.
He's the main villain of this movie.
Yep, because that villain opens portals. And then also hilarious that we have an actor called Taron Killam. He's also a comedian. He's from SNL. He's the guy from SNL.
Taron Killam.
Yeah. He's voicing the Spider-Man that looks like a cowboy. Patrick O'Hara. He's like the Spider-Man. He literally has like 2 pistols and he wears like half of the Spider. Yeah. So, and then that's really all we got. We know Daniel Kaluuya is
Spider-Punk.
Spider-Punk. I just told you about Vulture. We know Karan Suni is Spider-Man India. Andy Samberg we talked about.
Oscar Isaac is back.
Yes, he's as Spider-Man, future Spider-Man.
Haley Steinfeld is obviously back.
Yes. And Peter B. Parker is Jake Johnson again as well. So yeah, very excited.
This one's kind of sad, Dylan. It's the end of an era. Robert Englund says he is done playing Freddy Krueger. Quote, I'm too old and thick now. I can't do fight scenes for more than one take anymore. I've got a bad neck, bad back, and arthritis in my right wrist. I have to hang it up, but I would love to cameo. He's just like me, for real.
That's my guy. No, that's sad, but it makes sense. He is older.
And he is in Stranger Things, so
He was in there. That was
we'll
cool.
see him again. Here, I'm doing it earlier in the segment, Dylan. Here's one of your ready to feel old moments.
All right, get out of here.
Earlier this week marked the 20-year releasing in theaters anniversary of Finding Nemo. Give me Finn. Noggin.
He's gonna touch the butt
Dude, you made me ink.
in the anemone.
Anemone.
That's crazy. I think that film is that old, bro.
That movie has some all-time quotes in it.
What the hell?
Nemo swimming out to sea.
Sure.
P. Sherman, 42, Wallaby Way, Sydney. We got the first teaser for Sasha Calle's Supergirl in The Flash. We also got a new teaser for Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, which comes out June 23rd in theaters. The final episode, Dylan, of Succession drew a series-high 2.9 million viewers.
Makes sense. It's a very watched show.
New season of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, now out on Netflix.
Oh, that show, I haven't watched it, but I've watched clips, and it's pretty funny, so I think I might try that.
Moving right along here. Looking at what we have on my list.
Apparently, in the new season, Tim Robinson's show, he tries like like when you pay for the person behind you in the line, and he like wants it to catch on, so he pays for a guy, and he floors it through the drive-through. Like cuts this lady off and goes behind the guy he paid for, and he orders like $700 worth of food, and the guy gets out. It's actually the guy from Parks and Rec. I forget his name. He's just like what? He's just ignoring him. It's so funny. I was on TikTok. I was laughing hysterically.
Our girl Ming-Na Wen got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's cool. She's well deserved.
She's the GOAT. We love Ming-Na Wen on this show. The cast of Ted Lasso was on the picket line for the writer's strike this week.
Awesome. I'm sad that the show's finally over, man.
Looking
For you, it's not.
The scripts for the final season of Succession are now available to buy on Amazon.
That's kind of cool, I guess.
It's interesting.
It's
There's
different.
just people out there that probably like collect scripts as like a thing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's people who have just like a movie fan cave of anything possible.
Looking here, a female-led Australian remake of The Office starring Felicity Ward is in the works.
I mean, I like the female-led idea for anything. Like, I think it's obviously high time. That's more of a thing. I don't know about remaking The Office, though.
Yeah. Since The Office itself is already a remake.
Damn it, I was going to say it was already a remake.
Dylan, the Super Mario Brothers movie has become the second highest grossing animated film of all time. It has surpassed Frozen.
What? That's crazy.
Bonkos. Dylan, are you ready? Because I'm sure we're going to have to gear up and watch this. Avatar: The Way of Water releases on Disney Plus next week.
Yeah, I will have to watch it. My brother watched it, like I said before, a long time ago when we brought it up, and he said it was one of the worst movies he's ever watched. So, I'm curious. Christian, I'm coming for you. I know you feel differently because it's James Cameron, and I respect him, but we'll see. We'll
Looking
see.
here, John Carpenter says a direct sequel to The Thing may be happening.
Oh! Sorry. I like that.
I like that. Harrison Ford on the experience of filming a Marvel movie. Quote, I mean, there are tough days and easy days and fun days and all kinds of days. It's a tough schedule, and yeah, it's fun, but it's not a walk in the park. It's not fun, it's work.
Okay.
Amy Pascal says work on Spider-Man 4 is on hold due to the writer's strike. Quote, we're in the process, but the writer's strike, nobody's working during the strike. We're being supporters, and whenever they get themselves together, we'll get started. No, Amy, it's when the studios get themselves together and pay the goddamn writers.
Pay the writers!
James Mangold's 3:10 to Yuma released on Max today.
Wait, who's did?
James Mangold's 3:10 to Yuma film.
Ooh.
Moving right along. Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest debuts with 96 on Rotten Tomatoes from 46 reviews.
Interesting.
An animated Spider-Woman spin-off is coming sooner than you'd expect, says Avi Arid.
I'm okay with that.
Brett Goldstein pays tribute to Ted Lasso ending. Quote, Ted Lasso changed my life in every way. I will always feel grateful for it. A show about love, made with love by the funniest, most beautiful, and kindest people on the planet.
That's pretty sweet of him.
We got more Harrison Ford quotes, Dylan, that I'm sure you're going to love this one.
Oh,
Says
dude,
the most common fan question he's asked is, who would win in a fight, Han Solo or Indiana Jones? Well, he's got a response, Dylan. I say, me, asshole. I don't want to fucking make shit up like that. I mean, what are you asking me that crap for?
He doesn't care, dude. He just vibes. he's just there.
Oh, it's fantastic. Moving right along here. This is pretty cool. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves Steelbook 4K Ultra HD is now on sale.
That's cool. Have you played Luxury to play D&D yet?
I played the Rick and Morty version last summer for a little bit.
That's cool.
It's pretty fun. The Last of Us Season 2 begins filming as soon as the end of 2023, Dylan. Quote from Bella Ramsey, it's darker. It's really a story about revenge and a continuation from the first season about the dangers of unconditional love.
No shit, it's darker. It's gonna be it's gonna be really dark.
Filming for the Batman Part 2 has reportedly been delayed to March.
I don't like it here.
Netflix's To Dumb event will take place on June 17th with news and first looks for Extraction, One Piece, Rebel Moon, Outer Banks, Heart of Stone, Stranger Things, Three Body Problem, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and much, much more. The Stranger Things obviously intrigues us because we're big Stranger Things heads, and what that's going to entail with everything from Upside Down Pictures. I'm sure that has something to do in there.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Where they're going to go with the series, like as a conclusion, because it's the last season.
Mm-hmm. Dylan, we have maybe a candidate to be in the running to play Superman in James Gunn's Superman Legacy.
Oh, like actually? Who is it? I'm very interested.
It is Pearson Fode.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's an American actor, known for his roles as Brooks on Disney Channel's Jesse and Ellie in the 2015 romantic comedy film Naomi and Ellie's No Kiss List. He's 31 years old, which fits the mold of every Superman we have ever discussed on this show for filling in the spot here. He's also been on an episode of iCarly back in 2012. He's made kind of spot appearances on a bunch of Disney Channel stuff when he was younger. He was also looking here. Yeah, he's kind of just relatively like unknown, really. Like he's been in some stuff, but it's like not like huge things, and I think that's a good thing.
And that kind of thing has proven to be like more efficient in terms of like casting an unknown actor is not always a bad thing. It can be a great thing because if you strike gold, you know, like you are very much like kudos. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it is also, I guess, to be devil's advocate, it is scary because said no-name actor could also not be great. And I'm not knocking him. I'm just or her if they go a different direction. It's something we have to see. But I do trust James Gunn with my life 100%. At this point. So I'm not.
And I mean, Pearson Fode is 31 years old, so that gives you like a longevity factor too.
The age of the actor and the director bode well for me in terms of confidence.
I'm gonna send you the tweet to look at here because the image they used of Pearson Fode, you can see the Superman in him. I just DM'd it to you on Twitter. Moving to talking about Daddy season. We've got old man Daddy season upon us. Dylan is Robert De Niro on him and Al Pacino both welcoming new children recently.
I was like, sir, what are you doing?
Al Pacino just had a baby. I was told yesterday morning, and he's a few years older than me. God bless him. Very happy for him. You two old fucks, you.
Very happy.
We got a new teaser for The Bear Season 2, which releases on June 22nd on Hulu. Again, we will say it until we're blue in the face. Please stop making these movies. But Dylan, apparently a new Fast and Furious film focused on Dwayne Johnson's Hobbs is in the works. It is not a sequel to Hobbs and Shaw.
Dude, I just can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm just so excited, dude.
What do you love more, Dylan? The Fast and the Furious franchise or the Extraction movies?
I don't know. I think I like the one with the race car. Is there race cars in Fast and Furious? Is there race cars in there?
Yeah, in the first one.
Yeah, and now they can drive race cars out of space into the moon, and it's all about family, and they're contracted to say that. Yeah.
Speaking of family, Dylan, Dwayne Johnson says him and Vin Diesel have squashed the beef. Quote, last summer, Vin and I put all the past behind us. We'll lead with brotherhood, family, and resolve, and always take care of the franchise, characters, and fans, and family that we love.
Family.
Oppenheimer is rated R. This is the first Christopher Nolan movie in over 20 years to be rated R.
Huh. I kind of like that, though, because I like rated R movies.
Big fan. And it is exactly 3 hours long as well.
I'm never going to say no to a 3-hour film. I like the long ones occasionally in terms of, like, having to sit down and embark on, like, a legit adventure. And with that director and that topic, that movie, I don't know. I also want to see Barbie, I'll be honest. I'm going to see Barbie.
And last thing with Oppenheimer, IMAX prints of Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer are 11 miles of film stock that weigh around 600 pounds.
That's crazy.
Absolutely insane. We are in for a summer of blockbusters. Can't wait for it. We'll have more theater talk on this podcast with the big-time movies like the Oppenheimers, like the Spider-Verse movie, like Barbie, things of that nature that are can't miss, can't not talk about. We'll have theater talk segments for those, but obviously sticking to the streaming platform as well. But make sure you guys are following us at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. And follow Christian at @thewiz_PHI. Subscribe to the pod feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. And Dylan, say that line.
No. The line is, besides this one streaming service, which shall not be named right now, the line is anywhere you listen or see our beautiful faces, you're going to leave a review or in the comment section of YouTube, hint, hint, You're going to let Kyle, Christian, and I know what you want us to watch next on any of the services, even Max, TV show or movie, now that we have a new segment that Kyle so beautifully and Christian came up with. So, yeah, movie or TV show, let us know. Like earlier, I stated I'm watching one that's like 2 years old or a year old now with Andrew Garfield. So we don't mind wheeling back the time and watching shows that are a couple years old. So, yeah, let us know.
Yeah, because we still have to go on our Netflix Marvel binge watch even more.
That's true. There are a couple entities. Although I've heard from everyone, and myself included, because I tried it, we can skip Iron Fist. That shit sucks.
Yeah, that's what I've been told too.
That's like literally one of the worst things I've watched.
So we'll get on those for sure. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. It's where you get full video episodes of this podcast and every podcast on our network, clips, live streams, original content, all on our YouTube channel. We're at 509 subscribers right now, trying to get to 600 by the end of June 2023. So go subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your thoughts on everything we discussed on this episode and your show and movie recommendations as well. And follow us on Letterboxd. Just search StreamerSZN to see all of our latest movies and Marvel show updates on there. But this has been another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, for Christian, I'm KB. We're going to go believe some more and hopefully log into our Max accounts. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.